It never really occurred to me. I think you just trust what the doctors say. I think at 17, no one expects to be, diagnosed with cancer, and I didn't even know what it meant. I had no idea what even chemotherapy meant. What is that, So um, I started getting these chest pains about halfway through my first year of university, and it was quite painful, and everyone said, oh, it's just because you're under stress, you've left school early, you're going to uni, just need to relax, don't take everything so seriously. And it was, so we kind of, because I wasn't really taking it seriously with it, we didn't really get it fully checked out how we should have. And I kept going back to the doctor, and he said, oh no, you've got a chest infection, that's fine. And so that's cool. I was on antibiotics, and then it was still there, the pain was still there, and we went back and he said, oh, maybe it's pneumonia, we'll just hold off, we won't do a chest x-ray yet, they're a little bit expensive, we'll just wait. And it was months and months before my mum said, this is ridiculous, she's unwell, and she marched me into that doctor's and said, there's something wrong with my daughter. And we got the chest x-ray and we found out that I had cancer. Because I'd been so unwell, I don't know, when I first found out I had cancer, I wasn't really worried about anything else. I'd been sick for so long that to finally find out the cause of that pain meant something could be done about it. And I was upset, but I really just felt relief that we'd found out what it was. I had a really great childhood. My brother and I have been best friends really, and we just were provided with so many opportunities, and we were taken to church every Sunday, and we taught the Bible and the fact that Jesus wanted to have a personal relationship with everyone. And so at 10, I decided to accept Jesus as my Lord and Saviour. A verse I found really helpful at the time was Isaiah 41 verse 10, and it says, do not be afraid, for I am with you. Do not be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you with my victorious right hand. And a friend of mine came over and she put it on a poster form and stuck it to my ceiling, and it was very helpful. I just could see it every day, and it was there just to remind me that God was there with me and be there for me. It was halfway through my first year of university that I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a blood cancer, a bit like leukemia, which is a bit more well known. And it was a large tumour, just over 10 centimetres long, and was pushing into my lungs. And about the same time, I was also getting these really intense headaches, and one lasted a whole week, and my vision was blurry, and it was just a terrible migraine. And we went in for a scan because we thought it could also be a brain tumour, maybe the cancer spread, but it wasn't. It was unexplained, but there was just a lot happening, and it was quite scary. When I first got diagnosed, I wasn't really concerned about dying. I knew that, I had a 75% of recovery, and like now when I hear that, I think, gosh, that's low. But at the time I was very positive about it, and I thought, oh, that's great. I did feel like I'd be okay, but of course I didn't know. I knew I might survive, but what are the side effects? I didn't have a clue what that would mean. I had a lot of support, and my mum was just incredible. She took me to all the appointments. My brother was there for me. My family, my friends, my church was there praying for me, and very open about it, and even churches internationally, which was awesome. Yeah, when you're that sick and feeling that unwell, there's not much you can do really. You can't get out. You're worried about catching germs from people, and if anyone's sick, if anyone's got a cough, you're not allowed to be around young children, and you're a little bit isolated. And you mostly sleep and watch movies. And for me, one thing I found really therapeutic was drawing, and I did a lot of it, and that's kind of where it kind of first started off for me. Yeah, so when you get diagnosed, with all the physical changes especially, your self-esteem can definitely be really hammered by it. I saw that with a lot of the girls there, and you know, you're there supporting everyone, but when you get out in the world, it's a bit different when you're in hospital. But when you're out and people are staring at you, and one little boy didn't want to come near me because he thought it was catchy, the hair loss, and you're just very conscious of it. And God provided for me there too, and a guy named Brett, who I'd been really keen on before I was diagnosed, asked if I'd like to be his girlfriend, and I was so excited. I was very excited, but straight away I was like, oh no. I was very concerned. He doesn't have a clue what he's getting in for, and I didn't even know what was going to come. And I'm a really reserved person, but I just said to him straight. It was a bit of an awkward conversation, but I said straight, look, I don't know what the side effect's going to be. I might not even be able to have children, you know, if I live. And you know, maybe we should just wait and, you know, just have some options for you, essentially. And he came back and he said, I don't want to wait. I want to be there for you, and I'm sure this is the right thing. And, you know, it's super early, of course, but, you know, if our relationship led to marriage, then we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. And if we do get married, I won't be marrying you for the fact that you can have kids. And for me, for a guy to say that is pretty cool. I did feel like he was really special, and you know, he was a real blessing to me then, and he still is. It was just before the last cycle of chemotherapy that I started reacting to one of the drugs, the chemotherapy, and it started scarring part of my lungs. And you know, lungs need to expand and contract to breathe, and mine were really struggling. And if I'd been laying on the couch, if I needed to get up, I'd have to sit up first for a few minutes, catch my breath before I could get up, or if I needed to go check the letterbox, I'd walk down, but then of course take a few minutes to catch my breath before I could walk back up. And it was a really scary time when you can't breathe, obviously, and yeah, it was terrifying. My doctor told me at the time, look, this condition is more serious than the cancer, we need to take this seriously, we'll be stopping all treatment, and you know, we'll put you on steroids, but you know, you just need to go home for the weekend, just relax and recuperate for a little bit, and we'll see you on Monday and just see what's happening there. And when I got home, I of course couldn't help but Google it, and when I did, all I could see was the fact that people were needing lung transplants. And when I saw that, it's the first time I really thought, actually, I might not make it. When we got home, my mum called our youth pastor, and he was the one in outreach at the time, and Brett was on that outreach too. And it was really cool. Apparently they all just got together and they sincerely prayed for my healing, and they all came back afterwards and just said, you know, felt something with that. We prayed for you and we knew you were going to be okay. But I didn't know that at the time. And my mum and I had decided to go away for the weekend and just get away from it all, get away from the people and the questions, and just take a breather before we had to go back to hospital. So we went to the Coromandel, and when we got there, I felt amazing actually. I said to Mum, I think we should go for a walk, you know. The ocean for me has always been kind of a soothing place, and I love it. And we went for this walk, and we ended up walking the length of the beach there and back, which is just over 4Ks. And at that time, just standing up was a big deal, so that was just incredible. And when we got back, my doctor was a bit like, oh, where have you been? I've been calling you all weekend, you know. She's just a bit mad. And we felt told off. But, you know, we didn't realise that she'd lost a patient to the same condition just that week before, about the same age. And I said, actually, I'm feeling really good. And she's like, okay, yeah, Mum, how's she doing? And my mum said, no, she's doing really well. She's just so much better. And my doctor couldn't believe it. And the specialist said, oh, for me to get on the bed is just by myself. It's really incredible. And she said, there must be a God. So I didn't finish the last cycle of chemotherapy because of the drugs. But they said, look, you're cleared of cancer, we won't need to do that last cycle. And it was really cool, you know, you're in remission and you feel like life can start again, really. And I went back to uni, and, you know, things got back on track. It's weird after being on hold for so long. You do feel really out of it, but it all started back again, which is great. But after 6 months and just a regular checkup, we found out the cancer was back, and they said, look, we've tried that before, that was a mild stuff, now we're going to have to step it up, and I'll be having chemotherapy again, but stronger, radiotherapy, and also a bone marrow transplant. At that time, my faith was really strong, and I knew it was going to be hard, but I felt that I could do it. But I guess in the back of my mind, I also knew that people who had bone marrow transplants, most of them become infertile, and that was all I'd ever wanted to be, a mum, and to know that 99% chance that wasn't going to happen, for me was very, very upsetting. So I had the bone marrow transplant, and it's very intense. You're in hospital for a month straight, not leaving a room, not having any visitors essentially, apart from a few close family. But after that, I was cleared of cancer, and I went into remission once again. And yeah, that was exciting news. And 6 months, Brett asked me out the day before, actually, I got my 5-year clearance, which was great. And he'd been stuck with me through the highs and lows, and he proposed to me, and that next day we found out I was clear, actually. And soon after that, we were married. There's a chance that it's going to come back, but they say that after 5 years, if you can reach 5 years, you're clear. And when I got my 5-year clearance, it was a real time to celebrate. And after that time, my chance of getting that particular cancer back is just the same as anyone else on the street. So that was really good news. The day I found out I was pregnant, I was very excited. I knew, the books say you're not going to get pregnant. But previously, at one point I was in bed and I just started sobbing for the first time. I'm not really a crier, but for the first time I was just absolutely sobbing and just saying, God, if I live, please give me a child. And it was, I just kept repeating it over and over and over, and I kind of heard this voice, but it wasn't audible, but it was in my heart, and it was as clear as anything. And he just said, I'm the God of miracles, you stop crying, I've heard you, and I can do anything, and just trust me. And I had a complete peace about it. So because I had that experience, I kind of didn't really doubt that I'd have a child, even though the medical books said I couldn't. I didn't worry about it at all. A week before Christmas, when I was just 10 weeks pregnant, we were going to tell people the next week on Christmas Day. When I found out I had a miscarriage, I was absolutely devastated. And yeah, it's common, it happens to a lot of people, but I had so believed that this baby was a gift from God. I'd been praying about it, we'd been praying about it for a long time, and specifically that it'd be growing and forming perfectly. And when you're so specific about it and you believe it, you're kind of like, oh God, I'm trusting in you. You say to trust you, and I did, and you failed on me. Why would you let this happen? And I think, for the first time, I just, God, are you even real? And when you've had such strong faith throughout the whole journey, I don't know, it's a very tough thing to lose your faith like that a bit. And I doubted for the first time. Maybe I can't have children, maybe my body has just been through too much and it can't handle it. And I just, it was just a bit too much for me at the time, and only our parents knew. But I just wanted to shut it out, and no one's allowed to know. Don't tell anyone. And because it was a week before Christmas, it was the worst Christmas of my life, and the best acting skills of my life as well. Just just trying to keep that hidden and just trying to keep that internalized and not let anyone know. And it was a really, really dark time for me. A few weeks after the event, and I was still very angry at God and just questioning, and one morning it just, after, it's always on your mind, you're always thinking about it. Everywhere you look, everyone just seems pregnant, and it never really left me, and I remembered in that first prayer to God where I'd been thanking him for the baby, I'd also said, God, you gave me this baby, I'm going to dedicate it back to you. And it seems like a small thing, but to me it just hit me in the face that I've been complaining to God and telling him, how he should be running my life and what he should be doing. And in fact, he's a God of miracles, but he knows what the timing of everything and what's best. And he had decided that that was the right time to take the baby, and who was I to question it? I mean, I still don't understand why, but I know that baby's in heaven, and it's great. So I became pregnant again, and I was very excited. It was very cool. It was about 6 months later, and after that kind of doubt, after doubting, it was very cool. But when I was 9 weeks pregnant, and it's funny because at that time Brett was overseas for work, and I thought I'd lost the baby, and I lost it a little bit. I was just it was terrible when you think you've lost a baby for the second time. Everyone, it doesn't matter what people say, you're devastated. You just, I couldn't deal with it. And funny that Brett was out on work, and it meant that I couldn't rely on anyone. Hadn't told anyone at the time, and there was no one else I could reach out to for help, and it meant that I could reach out to God. And I think maybe that's how it's supposed to be, in those tougher times. People are there for you, but they'll still fail you, and no matter how good they are, because we're all human, we all make mistakes. But at that time, it just proved to me that, God was there, and I just prayed again and just kept asking him, please save this baby. And when Brett got back, I said, we've got to get a scan, I can't handle this anymore. And we did, and there was a baby on the screen, and it was beautiful. Maybe not to other people because it's like a tadpole, but it was beautiful. And there was a little heart beating, and it's so rapid, it's so fast, but it was the most beautiful sound in the world. Adelaide was born on the 6th of February 2016, and she was perfect. So becoming a mum, getting my dream in life has just been awesome. She's so cheeky, but she's brings so much joy, and it's had its really tough moments. I mean, some days Brett comes home from work and I'm like, your job is so much easier than mine, and it's like that. Motherhood's like that, but at the same time, I wouldn't change it for anything in the world, and she's brought such joy to me. I mean, my life, I think, proves, and I think any Christian will tell you that it's not going to be smooth sailing, and your life's not going to be a bed of roses because that's life, but Jesus has promised that I'll be there for you, and he, these tough times come because it's in those times that you actually reach out to him and ask for strength, and every time I've asked for strength, he's been there for me. And it's not just once, you got to ask daily. It's a step at a time, and every single tough time, he's been there for me. There's a promise in the Bible that all Christians can cling to, and it's one of my favourite ones because there's a lot out there. But it says, and it's in John 16 verse 33, and when Jesus is talking to his disciples, and he says, I've told you these things so that you may have peace in me. On this earth, you're going to have many trials and sorrows, but take heart because I've overcome the world.